Sunday night, Trump appeared to shift course on releasing the Epstein files.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Sound. Okay, where is my sound? It is back. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good afternoon, everybody. I don't know. We're going to have a great show for you today. How's it going? I trust all is going well. Anyway, we got a lot to cover today. We've got a lot to cover. I'm not done writing it yet, but you know what? Sometimes you just have to go without it being written. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a little talk here. Welcome aboard. We have El Senor Michael Rudden, number one again. He says, Mondays are my busiest day. I'll be back in 20. We'll see you in 20. Joe from Los Angeles, California. Patrick Magner from, where is Patrick from? Houston, Texas. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. And we have Yvette Avery Herod, our expert on anything labor union related, is here from Atlanta, Georgia. In the stack, have started late on the Substack, but George Elser and Jill Branton are the first two that popped up on the screen here. Welcome aboard. Why don't you guys tell me city, state, so that I can give you a warm welcome to your city or state. Just as let's see what else we got here. Paul Fleming says, Amazon announced 14,000 layoffs. We saw that. In CEO made over 40 million last year. UPS announced 48,000 layoffs. Its CEO made over 24 million last year. Intel announced 20,000 layoffs. His new CEO package is valued at nearly 69 million. Jill Branton is from Ashford, Virginia. And Phelps Mediation is from Richard, which is Richard from Akron. Welcome. J. Ray is in the house from Houston. He says howdy all, as well as Harry Denson from Missouri City, Texas. Hey, I don't know if you have a position to talk right now or not, Yvette Avery Herod, but if you are in a talking location, I know half the times you can't really. I would really like to know what's really going on with companies like UPS. I thought you had a pretty tight contract. Here's my call-in number. Call in number. And there it is. It's 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747 is a call-in number, and I'm going to put it in both chats right now. But what's the word on the UPS layoffs? I mean, I find it kind of intriguing, given that if I recall, just last year or I think it was last year, y'all just signed a major contract. Wasn't that the case? You didn't, Anyway, kind of school me if you have the opportunity to do so. Julie, welcome aboard. Jazz M64, welcome aboard, as well as Christine Wigan. Anyway, there are three subjects that I want to cover today. Marjorie Taylor's apology. Also want to cover Bill Maher's laziness when he talked about Mandami, the Democratic Party, and democratic socialism. And I also want to talk. Oh, there we go. Yvette, thank you so kindly for calling in. Yvette, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Oh, it's kind of let's see. Try again. Let's see. It sounds like it was a bad call.
Is that
Yvette?
better?
Oh yeah, we can't understand you, Yvette. I don't know. Can you give us a call back? maybe hang up and call back. I don't. And also, let me check my. Yeah, it sounds like we got a bad connection.
Okay, well, I'll call back.
I'm gonna hang up and call back for me. Let's see. Make sure that it's not my connections here. I don't think it is. Let me look at line 2, virtual. All of that looks good. Great. Okay, we're back. Let's see if that's better.
All right, is that better?
Oh wow, something is wrong with the
Is it
connection.
better
Let's
this
see.
time?
Can you
Uh-huh.
understand? Can you understand me at all, Yvette?
Does it sound better? I can hear you well.
Oh wow, something is not working right. Yeah. Oh, you said the audio is good on Twitch. Okay. AVQ says the audio is good on Twitch, so it must be something with my connection. Let me try this again. Hold on. You stay on the line.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if it works better. Can you let's see if it works better?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
All right. Great.
Can you
It
hear
seemed
me?
like it was my headphones that was the connection was bad. All right.
Okay.
Tell me about what's going on with UPS, sis.
Well, as far as UPS goes, I said that I voted against the contract because I knew we needed to go back to the table. We should have went on strike actually, and because we failed to go on strike, now we're seeing the repercussions of that, where buildings are closing, AI is being used rapidly to replace jobs, and automate buildings and things like that, which we could have had language on to ensure that members, jobs were created for members within that transition, because we know we can't stop automation. We know we can't stop, AI from coming because technology will
Right.
progress, but you can create union jobs within those things to keep our members working. So if we would have went on strike and got more, language in there and actually fought for some real language to save jobs, we wouldn't be in this situation now. But that's because of this not so historic contract that
Well,
was brought in.
I got you. I remember, you know what? I remember you telling me that in detail in the last interview we had when the contract was signed, when everybody was happy. You were actually saying, no, there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
stuff in there that would be problematic. And by God, with losing 40 something thousand people this quickly, I imagine it is, eh?
Correct. Correct.
Now,
Yeah.
now,
So
let
it's
me ask you
definitely.
a foolish question. How, first of all, is your job fairly secure?
I would assume so. Yeah, I mean, I've been there 20 years. It's more so the people who have less seniority. So the less
Uh-huh.
time with the company would be the first people, to go if it was a cut like that. So layoffs are done. Everything's done by seniority. So yeah, I should
Okay.
be fine. But
And
I'm
that is by
always,
contract.
concerned about, yeah, yeah, contract, yeah.
And what's concerning you now?
Well, I was always concerned with all members, and that's what, the issue was before. A lot of people voted yes for the contract because, them maybe as a job it looks good. But if our part time is not looking good, it's still a problem for me. So I want the entire workforce, to have gains, not just some of us, So a union dictates that it should be, you know, looking out for all members, not just some.
I mean, imagine if everybody thought like that, right? In other words, instead of thinking I got mine, thinking about, well, if you don't have yours, I can't really take mine until we know we're all in this together. And now look at what's happening. So, look, keep me posted
Yeah.
as far as how it goes. But the contract is signed for, I think, what, 3 years or something like that.
So we have 5 year contracts, so we're into 2028, and that's why I'm currently running, not only for the president of my local, which we'll get those results Friday, but I'm also running for an international position as a trustee because we have somebody running against our current uh, president, Sean O'Brien. So Brother Richard Hooker asked me to run with him on the Fearless slate. So we're trying to come in and make some changes for that next UPS contract for sure.
Well, I tell you what, I sure have been seeing your TikToks and your Instagram. So I wish you well, sis. All right.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for calling in. Have a wonderful day. That is that
No
was
problem.
uh that was our good friend of the program, Yvette Avery Herod. We can always count on her let us know what's going on with the unions and UPS and these other organizations. And she told us that she came on this program and said, and as it wasn't all, I thought I was supposed to be excited when the contract was signed, and she said, there's no safeguards in there, and she's not asking to stop AI or anything like that. She's just asking for protection for workers, something that we all should be doing. Thank you for that bit of information, Yvette. We needed that. All right. I don't know how many of you watched over the weekend, but Marjorie Taylor Greene, it seems to be, now that I think Trump has dumped her, maybe she's looking for a place to be. I want you to listen to what I did over the weekend on the episode that she did on not Meet the Press, but State of the Union. I had to do a double take. It turns out that Marjorie Taylor Greene, being interviewed by Dana Bash on State of the Union on CNN, all but begged America for forgiveness, begged for forgiveness for all the evil, all the ill will that she put out there. I mean, it's what she really did say is like, I'm so sorry. But you know what? Before I get into my narrative, I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Congresswoman, you posted on X that President Trump is, with his comments, fueling a, quote, hotbed of threats against you. Obviously, any threats to your safety are completely unacceptable. But we have seen these kinds of attacks or criticism from the president at other people. It's not new. And with respect, I haven't heard you speak out about it until it was directed at you.
Dana, I think that's fair criticism. And I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country. And it's been something I've thought about a lot, especially since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, is that I'm only responsible for myself and my own words and actions. And I am committed, and I've been working on this a lot lately, to put down the knives in politics. I really just want to see people be kind to one another, and we need to figure out a new path forward that is focused on the American people, because as Americans, no matter what side of the aisle we're on, we have far more in common than we have differences. Yeah. And we need to be able to respect each other with our disagreements.
So just to put a button on this, you regret the things that you have said and posted in the past, the Facebook post that was taken down of you in 2020 holding a gun alongside the squad, encouraging people to go on the offense against the socialists, liking a tweet of somebody calling for the execution of Nancy Pelosi and former President Obama. Just examples.
Well, Dana, as you know, and many people know, I addressed that back in 2021. And of course, I never want to cause any harm or anything bad for anyone. So that was addressed back then. And okay. I very much stand by my words I said then, and I stand by my words today. I think America needs to come together and end all the toxic, dangerous rhetoric and divide. And I'm leading the way with my own example. And I hope that President Trump can do the same.
Okay, here's the deal. We accept Marjorie Taylor Greene's apology. We believe in redemption. We believe that if one is not immutable, no matter where one comes from, what one did, if they really see the light, if they really want to work towards a better America, if they really, really want to come together and provide America with the actual policies that they need, I say, Marjorie Taylor Greene, for everything that you have said, for everything that you have done, personally, I can't speak for everybody, but personally, I forgive you. Not only do I forgive you, but let's work together. Let's make sure that Americans get family leave. Let's make sure that Americans get Medicare for all. Let's make sure that Americans get basic income. Let's make sure that Americans get paid vacation. Let's make sure that Americans get a true retirement. Let's make sure that all the things that the 20 happiest countries in the world have. Let's make sure that you are on the bandwagon to prevent that. That is the way you atone for what you have done. So I tell you what, I accept your apology conditionally. Let's see if you can live up to what's good for all of us. That's what you claim you want to do in the interview. That's what you claim you want to do as you break away from Donald Trump in rhetoric. Let's see. So let's be clear here. You don't have to love Marjorie Taylor. You don't even have to believe Marjorie Taylor. But if Marjorie Taylor become a part of an alliance to do what's good for Americans, that's her job. You don't have to like her. You don't have to care about her. But I tell you what, please, don't just talk about it. Do something about changing. And you know what? At the same time, you may want to go to Jasmine Crockett and say, Jasmine, I'm sorry. You may want to go to the squad and say, I'm sorry. You may want to go to them individually for the things that you've done to them individually and say, I'm sorry, let's work together. Because those women in the squad, you know, they have a lot of good policies they want to make America work. So Marjorie Taylor, you're forgiven conditionally. So let's go ahead and make these changes that America needs, and then we'll remove that unconditionality. Absolutely so, folks. Absolutely so, folks. Anyway, welcome aboard, Sandy S. How you doing this afternoon? Glenn Ryan. Hey, Glenn, you haven't checked us out yet for coffee. Stu Von Wald, K. Smith, welcome aboard. Thank you for being here. So what are your thoughts? Anybody has a thought process on what I just had to say? Give me a call. Natalie is having some problems saying, sorry, I don't accept MTG's apology. I hope, Natalie, you saw the conditionality that I'm talking about. But anyway, I'd love to have anybody call me up, 281 823 7747. One more time, 281 823 7747. Let me put it into the chat again. I think I still have the number in the chat. Here we go. It's in the chat again. Give me a call, 281 823 7747. You know what I want to add? I haven't found the tool yet. I want to find the tool. There we go. Brother Brackens, what's up?
Yes, yeah. You know, every time I hear Marjorie Taylor Greene sounding like a normal person, it really, like, I don't know how to take it. I'll be honest, but I love how you said, you know, she can be accepted conditionally, and that would be very conditionally, meaning I hear you and I want to take your word at face value, but I still know what side you used to rock for, and I won't forget that at all, you know. But it sounds like, what it really sounds like is she had what Christians would refer to as a come to Jesus moment, you know, where she really had to like battle with her actual moral values and this piece of scum that she has been supporting and riding the wave of for all of this time. And, you know, I would actually say, that's warranted like a Nancy Pelosi, you know, two claps, congratulations. Thank you for joining the sane population. Now, like you say, what are you going to do about it when the time comes?
It's interesting, Ray, because she claimed she got the epiphany. Because remember, a lot of these Republicans that are MAGA, and I say this with respect, but they're really genuinely ignorant. Okay? They really genuinely know very little. So they are of the belief that when we speak about the issues that are afflicting Americans, that we are actually just lying because we are liberals, we're progressives. When we speak, they see horns and they don't listen. So for them to believe us, things have to happen to them. So we said before the big bad ugly bill was passed, we said that people's because it didn't include the extension of the subsidies, that people's rates would double, triple, and more. We said that. We told people that, but they ignored it. They ignored that. We told them about SNAP. We told them about all these issues. In her own family, she has 2 kids. And then she saw what happened to her own kids' Obamacare. It's funny because all these people that are against
I
Obamacare don't
remember that.
realize that, they are actually on Obamacare. They don't know it. And it was funny when Dr. Oz, let me see if I didn't put this, I don't have a video for this, but stay with me here, Ray. I want to point out something. Dr. Oz goes on CNN's Face the Nation. And what he says is, he's parroting Donald Trump. Why not give the money directly to the people and then have them shop for insurance? Isn't that a better deal, right? Because now there's a marketplace. It shows you how inept and ignorant from the top all the way down to the bottom of the MAGA space is. They don't understand that Obamacare is nothing more than a marketplace with rules. Obamacare simply brought a whole bunch of insurance companies into a marketplace that had to follow rules. In other words, that had to make sure they weren't going to rip you off with your whatever premiums you pay. That was the marketplace. That is the marketplace where you choose who will be your healthcare master, who you are going to be a slave to. Remember, I tell you, choosing healthcare insurance isn't a choice. It's a choice of your master. It's not a real choice. It's a choice of who you want to be your master, who you want to tell you what drugs you can take, who you want to be able to tell you what doctors you can see, who you want to be able to tell you what hospital you can go to. Let's be clear here. You don't have freedom, not even in Obama's marketplace, not even when you're alone. We are trying to solve that problem with Medicare for all. Understand that, people. So here's the thing. Here is the thing. She just, Ray, you could see the epiphany when she learned it. She just learned that Obamacare was nothing more than a marketplace of private insurance companies. Nothing more. Nothing more with rules. Because here's what they would like you to do. When Donald Trump says, well, we'll give the money directly to the people, he means we will give the money directly to the people so that they can buy health care on the free market. That's how they want to review it, where people can rip you off, where it's not guaranteed that you're going to buy a real insurance policy. I mean, it is astounding how not intelligent these people are of the policies that rules them. And well, so Marjorie, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt right now. She just learned that, so she understands it now. We hope, we hope. But again, I would take her vote. If I need her vote to get basic income and we can get it, welcome aboard. If I can get her vote for family leave, welcome aboard. If I can get her vote for child care, welcome aboard. And that's where I am going from, Brother Ray.
No, I mean, you convinced me. I mean, and as far as Medicare for all, we definitely need to scrap this whole system where you have to figure out, like you say, who is your master that you're going to answer to. Oh, can I please have my pills? Can I please have my treatment?
Right.
It's pretty much the same mentality that you have to go to. Can I please have it, as opposed to I have government health care. I don't have to worry about, what company is being supported. I just basically know that my taxes cover it. If I need health care, I can get health care. Just like if I wanted to go into a library and pick up a book, I could pick up that book, no questions asked. All I need is my library card. And
there you go.
Just that easy of a transaction.
In other countries it is, and they pay a lot less and they get better care. You remember, I don't know if you remember, for those of you that are listening as well, there was a time that people said, we don't want Canada because Canada's single payer because their wait times, or the NHS in the UK because their wait times. What are you talking about?
Brother, we already there.
Have you ever tried to get into a primary care physician? I dare you, call any doctor right now and see if there's a wait list or not. Try to get a specialist. When my daughter moved back to Houston with having her stroke, and we had to find a new neurologist. It took us 3 months. The one that we wanted to see, 3 months. And the one that we were, well, if we had to go somewhere, the fastest we could get in to see one was 2 months. We asked to be put on a wait list to see if maybe we can get somebody's slot. Our healthcare system for the average American person is the pits. If you are in, now look, there are exceptions to the rule, right? There are some good, if you happen to be in a good system, a good plan that hasn't yet outlived its usefulness, you're great. But a lot of folks and most people won't. So anyway, anything else, Ray, I have to add before I go to my next video?
Yeah, well, I wanted to say the quiet part out loud that you didn't mention is Canada might have wait times at some point or another, but the thing about being American that makes that whole thing different, you have to pay to wait.
There you go.
That's all I got to say on that.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate your call, Ray. Natalie Lago says, how can people in Denmark and the Netherlands have good and affordable health care, and people in the USA have to pay monthly premiums equivalent to a car loan or a month's rent? If you are paying a car loan for your health insurance, you're lucky. That's all I'm going to tell you. If you are paying a car loan for your health insurance, you're lucky, because we pay more like a mortgage. But let me just say this. Here's the thing. We can solve this. Ray is right. Natalie Lago is right. We can, if the Netherlands can do it, we should be able to do it on steroids, especially given the money we put into it. But we pay them, all of you here, right? All of you pay your cable bills, right? I want to point out something to you, and I'm going to actually make a plea here that it's going to be a shameless plea. This is going to be a shameless plea, but I think it's the opportune moment to do it. We all pay for cable. I have to have all of these news channels because I cut and paste for some of the videos that I do to learn, to understand what other newscasts are doing. But we pay. And a lot of you pay for it, let's say for entertainment, which is a good thing. But as they're entertaining you, what they're doing is putting in your head lies. So we may have quite a few listeners that are 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, 65 years old, etc. The ones that I fear for the most at this point in time are those that are 64 years old. Because now you look at, when you are watching commercials on TV, ads on TV, you actually look at things that you're tuned into for your life, and they know it. So if you look at certain programs on CNN, MSN, MS Now, or all these other things, they kind of know the demographics of who's watching and what to show. That's why on CNN, which has a very old demographic, MSNBC, which is anywhere in that demographics, but also has a large 64 plus demographic, you see all these commercials, all these ads for Medicare. They make you think it's Medicare, but what they're all advertising. I'm looking at one right now. I just mentioned every few minutes you see one. 0 monthly, no pay. I'm looking at it right now. Medicare Advantage, convincing you to go with their plan. Go with their plan. Here's the deal now. Every time you get somebody to either sign up for Medicare Advantage or switch from traditional Medicare to Medicare Advantage, You have made Medicare weaker. You have made good health care for all of us much worse. Even if your plan for the time being is good, in the long run, they will continue to tell you whom and what you can see, what medicines you can take. So when you sign up for Medicare Advantage, you're signing up for nothing but private insurance. And let me tell you, the reason we have to have Medicare is that they never used to insure older people. So, because it costs too much. So the government started insuring older people. How did they do that? From the time you started to get a paycheck, 3% of your paycheck went into Medicare. Okay? Went into Medicare. And that is how Medicare is funded. When you get old, a lot of people by paying that fee, that they make that up. And that's how they did it from the beginning. Now, the private sector, who didn't want to insure all you old people because they couldn't make a profit, they go and they bribe the government and say, wow, the government has all this cash it's been collecting from all Americans for that work from the time they were 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, working and getting a paycheck. We've been collecting 3% of that money to put into the Medicare coffers. We want it now. So they go with their thuggish politicians, and for each person that signs up for Medicare Advantage, that company, that insurance company, gets several $1,000s, something like between $10,000, $12,000. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of money. It is so much that that person that is selling you, when you go to that, when you know those people that invite you over to go to lunch to try to sell you Medicare and go over what your problems, let's figure out what your best plan is. Once they sell you Medicare, a lot of those salespeople walk off, or each one of those people that buy a Medicare Advantage plan. A lot of them walk off with $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 off the top just for selling you that. I had a friend who did it. I always used to ask him, how can you selling Medicare Advantage to people? And that is because the company makes a whole bunch of money off of it. That $1,000, no matter what kind of health you're in. And what they try to do is they try to mark your health as being very bad so that they can get the most amount of money, our tax dollars, to them. These were the people who didn't want to insure you. And then when they have you, you can't leave. Or they make it difficult for you to leave and go back to the traditional health care. You get a serious cancer. You get a serious something. You cannot move. Folks, now this is where I'm talking about. You watch these beautiful commercials on TV. You watch them. They are there to convince you to do something that will ultimately harm you. They are doing something that will ultimately, in the beginning, it may seem fine, but it will ultimately harm you. You are paying for your cable bill, your internet bill, etc., every month to have people ill inform you, disinform you. Now comes my shameless plug. Over here, we work hard as hell to make sure that we provide truthful information, educated information, researched information to make sure that when you make your choices, both in getting people who should be elected, in supporting policies that should be supported, we lay it all out there. No lies. No lies. Do you know how hard it is to convince many of our brethren to say, well, you know what? Let me subscribe to you guys because I know even if I'm only getting good info from you once a week or once a month, it sure isn't going to populate my brain with what I'm paying for hundreds of dollars. Natalie, I will definitely do virtual coffees. Absolutely. I do that as well, sweetie. Sorry for saying sweetie. I forget. I have my niece, her name is Natalia. Natalia Jacobo, me niece. And anytime I talk to her, I always say, "Hi, sweetie." So forgive me, I didn't mean to be rude or at all. Um, but yes, absolutely virtual coffees. Absolutely. Now, here's the thing. It is so hard. And I don't want, I'm saying this because I'm in this position with this here to see how we as a society want to talk about Ardennes and New Zealand, how we have paid so much to have us make bad decisions. Last night, I watched Prime Minister about Jacinda Ardern, who was the Prime Minister of New Zealand. And when her Labour Party was going down the tubes, the leader of the party quit, made her the leader. And nobody expected her to win. She won. She formed a government. And she was likely the most moral leader at the time, 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21. She was there when the Falls Church murders occurred, the white supremacists. And this woman learned what she needed to learn, got the weapons banned in her country in less than a year, in a few weeks, actually. Then we actually got her coming to pass during the COVID epidemic. New Zealand was one of the few countries where, when they found out how do you stop the transmission of the drugs, a real lockdown based on science, she did it. And before the cancer from Trump made it overseas with all the crap coming from the right wingers, her country was in such a state that while we were suffering on the next New Year, wearing masks and locking ourselves out, they were partying in the streets. They were going to restaurants. They were wearing no masks because they followed science. And what happened? The cancer of the know nothings, it's a different kind of know nothing, got into New Zealand, and they had a hard time for a short while containing at some points. Not they never had it like we did because they still worked on containment and vaccines. But the anti-vaxxers came out and all these other folks came out. We pay so much. You know how much Kennedy, the NHS, our director of health, NIH, how much he has collected to ill-inform people and use that to spread the misinformation throughout. You sit down and wonder, why are we where we're at? Why? Why? All of you here, I know, or most of you here, except for MAGA folks in the chat, are responsible people who follow science. Responsible people who follow science. But it's shameful what's going on now that we cannot get together both on science and on basic math. That we are so scared of Medicare for all, not we, most people are not, and not anymore, but that we can't look at Medicare for all. Right? I want to show you the immutable. Eric just says mandates did not work. I'm sorry. Mandates inside of New Zealand worked very well, and it saved a lot of lives. I can't help you if you can't look at science. I really can't help you there. I can't help you there. But anyway, my brothers and my sisters, math is simple, right? Before I go to Bill Maher, which I'm going to Bill Maher right now, math is simple, very simple. I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about trigonometry. I'm not talking about differential equations. I'm not talking about calculus. I'm talking about arithmetic. It's simple. If you have multiple costs here and you have one cost here and everything else is the same, this by definition has to be cheaper than this. Private healthcare has to pay shareholders. Private healthcare has to pay building maintenance, multiple database maintenance, advertising, executive bonuses. All of those are expenses in these are expenses for for private healthcare. Now, single payer healthcare has one thing to do: pay a bill. The overhead is one database. You don't have to pay shareholder value. You don't have to pay executive bonuses. There's one thing, however, that you have in equal with the private sector. You do have to have your fraud alerts in there to make sure that people don't fraudulently build the system. But also, you save money because each doctor's office doesn't need to hire people to talk to many different insurance companies and figure out which one covers this, what's not covered. Get rid of all that complication, right? It's simple arithmetic. But what we have is many of you are paying for a cable network, a broadcast system that is there to tell you they're taking away your choice. Single payer does not take your choice away. You can go see any doctor you want to see. Unlike private insurance, which says, we tell you what doctor you can see. You have a choice of selecting who you want to tell you which doctor you can see. People, this is simple stuff. Think about what they have to do to you to make you think otherwise. Let's go to Bill Maher. It is clear that the plutocracy is scared. In fact, they have put all your mouthpieces, they put all your propaganda engines in motion. And Bill Maher is one of their good ones, one that actually get it over very nicely with a semblance of truth, in as much as what he talks about is filled with misinformation and fallacy. First, he said that Mandami is great for the party, not the Democratic Party, but the Republican Party, because of who he is and what he promotes. All Mandani is trying to promote are the things that Americans say that they want, and to fulfill the needs that are not being currently fulfilled by either the private sector or the government to a large percentage of Americans. And for that, they want to claim he's a harm. And who do they use as an example? Hey, Abigail Spanberger. She won Virginia, and she's one who previously said Democrats need to move to the center and they should never utter the word socialist. Oh my God. They shouldn't use the word Social Security. They shouldn't use the word Medicare. They shouldn't use the word Medicare for all. You know, these guys want you to be scared for us to claim or specify that it's the duty of the government to provide social services that we collectively pay for. Right now, as it turns out, for too long, from Reagan right up to now the second term of Donald Trump, nothing has changed materially for the poor. Nothing has changed materially for the lower 60 or the lower 75% in this country. But somehow capitalism is working? No, capitalism is working as designed. But capitalism as designed is not for the working man. Capitalism as designed is not for those who are using their intellect and using their words, because it is all up for purchase. The abstraction it creates to enrich a few on your back. And that's what Bill Maher wants you to be scared of. That you ask for what is yours, that you ask for what you worked for, that you ask for what you've earned. That's all people like Mandami and the new mayor of Seattle and those who are coming up with true progressive values that want to ensure you make enough money to pay your rent, that if you have a place without a grocery store, that no private sector company wants to come in, that, well, government says we are there to serve. If you are not serving the people, we will serve the people after all. That's the job of government. So if the private sector doesn't want interference from a government entity, they must be as good or better than the government entity. Otherwise, what's the use? But they don't want you to know. They want to have the absolute socialization of our private sector while we have the capitalization of the average American citizen. But it should be the other way around. Don't be fooled. Don't be scared. Don't let them use Cuba and Venezuela as examples, because there's no comparison between a Mandami, between a Bernie Sanders, or anyone like that of that comes so far. They like to say, well, how comes even in Bernie's state, single payer was unsuccessful? It was only unsuccessful because it wasn't done honestly. Because taxes would have to be raised. Yes. But letting the people know taxes are raised as you no longer have premiums, as you no longer have co-pays or anything, may ensures that you pay less. But again, political framing is something the plutocracy was willing to force the politicians not to do. So let's look at all of this, folks. They are scared because no longer is the fear of a false socialism that you would hate working. No longer is capitalism has taken people out of poverty working anymore, because what's starting to come through is the truth. If you want to know what the truth is, the only economic system that will work, and I've spoken about that in my book, How to Make America Utopia, is a truly free enterprise system with a strong social.
All of our country's problems, from polarization to ignorance on domestic and international.
Right. So anyway, so that's the bottom line. The bottom line is the only solution. Listen, Michael says, Egberto, I still can't ban spammer. Oh, I don't know how to. Right now, Mike, I honestly don't know how to fix that, but sometime I will have to. Bit of an echo from Substack. Sorry about that, Alistair. I probably should have turned my mic off. I didn't realize that I didn't. Hey, I screw up sometimes. Anyway, folks, I have another video, but I don't think I have enough time to run the other video. So I'll take a call from anybody who wants to call. That number is, and let me throw that back in again. That number is 281-823-7747. Again, that number is 281-823-7747. Anybody wants to call? Ria Daniel says, I like the exposition and supporting people. Yeah, we need to all support people. We need to do that. Alistair Waters says, well, that was between her and Eric. Lee Grant, okay. Lee Grant, this is what drives me crazy, right? You said Portland is a good example, progressive domestic policies. Have you been to Portland? I doubt it. I've been. Have you been to Portland during all the protests? I doubt it. I've been. I'm sorry, I hadn't been during the last set of protests, but one of my proteges from the coffee party has. And you know what they did to you, Mr. Grant? And here's the thing. You have to decide if you're going to allow them to fool you into supporting bad politicians who are creating bad policy for all of America by fooling you with lying to you about Portland. Portland is a very large city. Large city. I'm talking expansive, right? Near the Columbia River and all of that. Beautiful, beautiful city. Beautiful city. I know a lot of people want to go to Portland. I know a lot of people who are moving to Portland. nice cafes, nice places to eat, very people that read, people that are, very progressive folk. All that you've seen on TV is on 4 square blocks. Same thing that happened in LA. 4 square blocks. And you know what those 4 square blocks are? Where you have the federal building that Donald Trump is messing with, harming people. That is where people are protesting. 4 square blocks in Portland. And when they were showing you all that smoke and burning in LA, 4 square blocks. LA was never burning. Portland was never burning. You go tell somebody who lives in Portland or lives in LA that, they'll think you are, respectfully, they'll think you're stupid. Because they'll say, oh my dear, that is like showing the power plant that's burning in the ship channel right now and saying Houston is on fire. It makes one look small-minded and not with a lot of intellect. It's like the guy who called this morning when I explained Medicare for All, and he said, I don't want to give healthcare to illegals. Healthcare, none of this stuff goes to illegals. Now, if an undocumented worker breaks a leg and goes into an emergency room, yeah, the emergency room is going to patch that person up. And that's what they should do, whether undocumented or not, because they're human beings and we believe in humanity. You don't? That's why I pointed out that the Christian church, the evangelical Christian church, is one of the most, I'm talking about the ones that support Donald Trump, are one of the most set of evil entities there are. Because first, you're supporting someone that promotes evil, but second, you're supporting his policies that harm. I was so happy today that the Catholic diocese finally came out and not the Trump administration. Yes, I am. No, I'm not Christian bashing. I'm evangelical Christian supporting Donald Trump bashing. There's a difference. Because evangelical Christians supporting Donald Trump are not Christians. And I'll say it plainly. They are what? Evil. And I'm not biting my tongue about that. They are evil. Now, when you see a Marjorie Taylor comes out the way she came out today, I'm saying, okay, Marjorie, maybe you're getting a little less evil. Maybe we can get you there. But what Donald Trump is doing and what these guys are supporting is in fact evil. Everything that the Bible says they're not supposed to do is what they're doing. So I am not, I've said what I've said, and I would tell that to a pastor. I would tell that to a Christian that's following Trump. And if any one of them want to call this program, I would be happy to talk to them about it. I would be happy to go relearn the verses with chapters that let them understand that what they're doing is evil, and they won't get to pass through the eye of the needle. I'm very willing to do that. So yes, and yes, they're evil. All right, folks. Any calls? No calls coming in yet. I've got another minute that I can take a call. 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747. I really enjoy talking to you all. The other video that I had was I was on the WBAI program this morning with Jenna Flanagan, and we discussed some of the Trump evils. Of course, that's about what you discuss. I'll put it up on the website in a little bit. It's the program called America at the Crossroads with Jenna Flanagan. And by the way, let me just give you guys some fairly good news. Ray Bracken, how you doing? Before you come in, Ray, I just want to tell some news. This program is up on something called AudioPort on Pacifica Network. Remember, we are all a nonprofit. We do things that's for everybody. And a lot of other affiliate stations are starting to carry the program on a sort of a syndicated way. So we are also, you'll probably hear us come up on several other community FM and public FM and AM stations around the country. I notice a whole lot of them are starting to pull it down. So it seems like a lot more are carrying it. To be sure, remember, all of this is on a volunteer basis. To get, stations are looking for content. We have content on what we're doing here and promoting it that way. But we do need your support. Ray, come on in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And congratulations on the expansion. So, yeah, man, I mean, basically you said everything that needed to be said today. If we would just, recondition ourselves to not be antiseptic slaves, we might actually know what freedom feels like.
I love that. I think that's a way to end you right there, brother. If that is what freedom feels like, and that is where we want to get, and that's where I would like all of us to get there together. Thank you, brother. Got to close this baby down.
All right, brother. Take care.
Have a good one. All right, folks. Please, before I go, this is the time for my ask. Please consider becoming paid subscribers of our newsletter. To do that, you just need to go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, let me put that link in there as well if I can get the mouse to behave correctly. Politicsdoneright.com/newsletter is the way to become a paid subscriber. Just click on subscribe and choose it. It's like saying you want to give us a coffee for doing good work. And like I said, we're starting to get the penetration that we need. And that is other stations are carrying the program. I got a request from another public radio station that asked me to set up a relay so that they can carry the morning program live. So I'm working on figuring out how much it's going to cost me to get the relay set up so that, set up for him that it can actually get done. We are going to make the change, folks. But to do that, we got to stay alive. So please consider becoming supporters of our station here by subscribing to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Actually, it's my Substack newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It subsidizes all the work that we do, the articles that we write at all the other websites around the country, the books that we write. Everything is subsidized here. So I ask you to please join. Anyway, got to get out of here. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.